I'm Laramie Crocker, and this is a working piece to try to gather some ideas for an upcoming show that my buddy Jim Yeager in Vermont's going to have me put on and produce and make happen in Vermont, and it's going to be unleash the Crocker, right? So let's talk today about uh, um, Jim has a tune, Better Man, like I'm gonna be a better man, right? And it's about you take your morals and you lift yourself up. So in other words, you can be a better person when you tie into your community. All right, so my topic for right now is how music, performance, and cultural exchange could make a world without war. All right. So, there's a concept that the way you fix the world with war and whatnot is to vote for Hillary or Trump, right? Like that's how you're going to solve it. Like that's your big idea. These are the people that have been bringing you war for the last 300 years, right? So one thing that has been established to work is musical exchange, cultural exchange, poetry, art, science. These are the things that tie cultures together. So I want to break that down a little bit and talk about why being a better man is a good thing for humanity, and suddenly we don't need a culture of war. So what you do to be a better person, you have to have the support of your community, um, of the people around you, of your family, of your friends, right? So when you don't have that, you have insecurity, which means I don't trust my personal value, my worth. I'm worried about my resources. I'm worried about my skills. Um, I might rely on group opinion. I don't even know if I'm centered, right? Um, so open mic, is a place that I go a lot in different cities around the country, and it's always and I like it for these reasons. It's supportive, it's sharing, it's affirming. Uh, so that's all like community stuff, right? You have people of a wide range of skills, all doing it for presentation, like to share, right? So that's really important. The important thing about the environment is there a good open mic has room for audacity and room respect for tradition. So you'll have people who are like, man, I'm gonna nail this song that so and so did in 1972, right? They're gonna fucking nail it. Or that there's some pop song, they have some take on it, right? But also there's room for audacity. Like there's respect for individuals who are like, I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna do something that shows you a little bit of me, you know, in the music, in the delivery, in the way I'm connecting to the audience. The audience, which is a collection of people. And open mics are usually small, so it's not like this is wall of audience. It's like, hi, Bob, right? I'm gonna sing you a song, Bob, right? Open mics are so great because you go with your insecurities and you share what you've got, however much you practiced it and however much you memorized it and however much of it you can get through. And for some people it's a lot and some people it's a little, but from week to week it'll always be better because there's this support. You share it and people go like, yeah, that was good. Maybe some people were talking, maybe some people were kind of half paying attention, but the number of people that you brought in that you were able to have a conversation with tells you something about your self-worth. So it's a supportive community environment that is inclusive and is not just a group opinion, but is you're actually making connections. If you don't have that, you have insecurity. I don't have any personal value. There's nobody needs me. My stuff's no good. There's nothing unique about me. I'm just another human, and who cares anyway, right? And I'm not even sure of my skills as a human, right? So going to some sort of community event that brings this up is great. Um, if you have insecurity, then there's this other whole thing called fear, right? So fear is no, you can't. You are not safe. Your close community cannot protect you. You're fucked, right? So that's fear. Now that's just a base thing. But what happens is people manipulate that. And in politics, that's all they do nowadays. Um, It's just this fear versus that fear. And, are you afraid of Big Brother, or are you afraid of anarchists? Are you afraid of zombies? Are you afraid of ISIS? Are you afraid of global warming? Like, whatever it is, it's all fear all the time now, right? So when you think of all fear all the time at the global galactic scale, you're like, well, I guess we need giant governments to work this shit out, and there are marauders and there are terrible people, right? Well, terrible people most of the time are people who aren't getting their needs met. So when, like, no one would say, oh, the people in New Hampshire have a different water rights plan than us. Let's go bomb the fuck out of them, right? You wouldn't. New Hampshire, Vermont, we know each other. We're like, right? We're the same people. Some of them work on this side and live on that side. Some of them move back and forth, right? That's the same people. So why does someone set a line down in the sand and say, no, these people are so different? The reason is there's no cultural exchange. So what I'm saying is voting for a president can feel powerful. More powerful is to just do what's. So I'm voting green, for example. Everyone's, oh, it's not going to do anything. Like, I don't care. If it's 5%, then you'll know that 5% of the people are going, I think this way. Let's look at this direction. If 10%, it would be amazing. Green, and a global party would get 10% in the U.S. election without even being allowed on the debate stage by guess who controls the debate, the Democratic, the DNC and the RNC, the Democratic National Committee and the Republican National Committee, controls who gets to be on the stage. Convenient that no libertarians or Greens or anybody else, or Bernie's once he, right? He could have not capitulated had he had a venue, but he knew the media was just going to shut him out. So he's like, well, I'll go with the Hillary thing. Maybe that'll work out for me. Anyway, the other thing you can do besides vote and electioneer, see, electioneering comes from a point of I need to convince you of something. I've done a lot of that. I go around the street. All my weapons of mass destruction, don't know where I left them. All the bombs I left behind. Think I'm gonna lose my mind if somebody don't help me find my weapons of mass destruction. I did this whole Bush tour in 2004. It was great. I love rabble-rousing, and politics is fun. But I think what actually makes more sense is to lead by example. Like, well, I don't really drive a car that much. I telecommute. I live in green places, so I'm not using that much gas. Boom, 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 boom. I have lots of friends. I make music. Everybody likes hanging out and making music together. They're a pretty peaceful place. So what I'm suggesting, and I've done music tours around the world and stuff, what I'm suggesting is the more cultural exchange, especially musical exchange, because it's performance. Other types of performance, dance, very important. They don't need language. You can go to Romania and participate in a dance and music night from anywhere on the planet. And so what people are doing is they're actually getting, there's Arabs and Israelis getting together doing these music tours, and they're like, yeah, it's the same music, it's the same instrument, it's an oud, right? So just living by example and being your inner artist and sharing your art and your specialness with the world can actually be more powerful than voting. So, to people like, oh, you have to vote for this and that, or the world's going to go to hell in a handbasket. I'm like, well, that's nice. But what you really have to do is live a life of example, not need to convince others. Just because convincing is efficacy, winning, right? Evangelizing, advertising. Christ, I've worked in advertising. Electioneering. I've done electioneering. Like, this is how we go convince people, hey, shut up. Everybody just think this way. Humans aren't rational, but humans will follow. That's why advertising works, right? That's what I wanted to get to, was that advertising works because we are communal beings. We make irrational decisions all the time based on the word that we see in social media, that we see in the media. These are all propaganda machines that we hear, we say to each other, oh, don't use plastic, right? Like, boom, that could become a meme, and then everybody thinks like that. Or you could just live a plastic-free life, right? And somebody like, oh, you need that? No, I got it. I got a paper bag, right? Or, that's all right. I don't need a plastic bag of spinach because I grow my own spinach, right? Like, people will start to see, like, oh, I know people who do that. I can do that. I can grow my own vegetables. I don't have to import them from Mexico. Spinach from Mexico? You fucking kidding? Anyway, I just want to talk about, like, fear can be used by manipulation to create war. And fear also targets directly at your insecurity. And your insecurity can launch into a need to convince others to join you in the fear pod, right? And so it goes to this thing. This is the other way around, and that's through the tools of things like open mic, where you go to a supportive environment, you share cultural goo with each other. Like, this is my cultural stuff, and I'll take your cultural stuff. Wow, I see that you're nervous at this. I see that you're happy doing this. We all like to dance. We all like to sing. Boom, right? And this can be happening globally. So actually, there should be huge numbers, like certainly, available to college kids, available to retirees, to just travel around the globe and just spread music. Like, boom, done. Thank you. Good night.